Hi guys. So it's been a while, and today I want us to tackle another one of the issues with broken links, which is scheduled checks. Now, let's say I've built my site and I've deployed it, and everything is working fine today, but at some point later in time, you know things get broken. For instance, let's say I have um, let's say I have a blog, and when I write a post, I try to link up things so that my readers can go there and actually read additional content. Now, what happens if those things get broken, right? So what if for some reason this link is broken, right? So I don't have a way of knowing this when stuff goes wrong, right? So, what I want us to do now is I want us to be able to schedule things so that my website is checked once every month or once every day for broken links. Okay, so that's what I want. So, what I want is I don't want to find broken links right now. I want to set it up so that whenever there is every day at the end of the day or every month at the beginning of the month, uh, this that some code gets executed and checks my website for broken links. So this is called a scheduled job or a recurring job, where you run a piece of code on a schedule, right? Every day, every hour, every minute, every second, or every month, or once every year, and so on and so forth, right? So uh, in Linux, if you're running your computer, if you're running your application on Linux, which I am, there is a very nice utility called crontab. Okay, and cron is for chronology, and chronos time, right? So cron tab is a file on your Linux computer which stores a schedule. Okay, so it stores information about what to run and on what schedule to run. And to open your cron tab, you can run cron tab minus e, and that's going to open a file, and cron tab minus e for edit and minus l for list. And it says no cron tab for Manhajruddin, for my user, because I don't have anything scheduled to run every on a schedule. So anyway, now let's actually open that. Now cron tab is a bit is a bit difficult to understand for some guys, but if you read this documentation, it's very easy to understand. Okay, so basically, if you think about it, this is a scheduling system, and what it does, it's like a calendar, right? It's like a calendar, but much more powerful than that. So in a calendar, we say uh, on on 26th of Jan, remind me remind me to go to the office to participate in the Republic Day celebrations. Okay, to participate, right? So it has two things. One is a schedule, right? So 26 Jan every year, and the other is the action which I need to perform, right? So this is just a reminder. But even here, you have the same thing. You have a schedule, right? A schedule and an action that needs to be performed. Okay, and the schedule is, it's a let's say I want something to happen every minute. Okay, in that case, the schedule would be star 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 and star star, and let's say, so actually let me quickly open up another tab and look for this alert message. So on your Linux computers, there is a command called notify send, which takes a message and shows it as a notification. So what we'll do is we'll quickly set up a notification here. So I'll say notify send another minute has passed, right? So let's close this, and if everything is set up properly, then every minute it should show us a message. Okay, so if we list the cron tab, it shows that we have our schedule thing. And let me actually look at the time now. It's 59 seconds. Okay, so something went wrong. So one of the things a graphical utility needs is a display, which is not really important to us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the cron tab and make it so that it's visible to us. So what I'll do here is I'll just say echo, or I'll just say echo and date is the time. Okay, and we will append it to a log in our temp/cron log. Okay, so again, this is a very simple command, which is adding something to our file called temp.cron.log. Okay, if we search for it, it's not present at the moment, but as the minute changes from 33 to 34, now it's done, it should show us that file, and it's there. And if you look at the contents, it should say the current date time is the time, right? And it's gonna keep repeating this command every minute because that's the schedule. Okay, so that's how cron tab works. Okay, now what I want is I want something to run at the end of every month. Okay, I want to check my websites once every month. Okay, so we need a few things here. Okay, so first is we need the user to be able to create a website and schedule it. Okay, and we need our cron tab. We need our cron tab to run this every month. Okay, and finally, yeah, that's it, right? So what we're going to do quickly is we're going to create a similar form here on this page, which allows us to add our website. Okay, so let's do that. So now I'm just going to do it the easy way. We'll just go to the pages controller and add another action for this. First we need to change the template, right? So page HTML, which is the page index template, and here we have this form, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another form here, and we'll call it schedule website checks for broken links. Okay, and what we'll do here is we'll say this is an action which is going to create a schedule, right? So I'll just say create schedule. And this is all sloppy coding because the URLs are not good and stuff, but we'll clean this up later. Okay, and here we're going to ask for a URL and we'll say schedule check. Okay, so awesome, we've got that. And if I enter http://minhajudeen.com, it says schedule check. Now it says no route for get/create schedule, right? And we'll actually make this a post, okay? Because this is actually creating something. And we'll go to the pages controller, page controller, and we'll create an action here. I'm gonna copy this, and we'll call it create schedule, right? So, all right, let's do that. And when we do this, what we want to do is we want to say page analyzer dot create schedule. Okay, and actually, it's not a responsibility of the page analyzer. So we'll create another module here called scheduler. Okay, scheduler.ex. So this is something which is going to allow us to do stuff related to schedules, right? So scheduler, and we'll have a method here or a function here called add right? So add to our schedule, right? That sounds good. And def add URL, that's our method. And what we want to do here is we want to save this so that it, when it runs its scheduled monthly check, it picks it up and runs it through. Okay, so for now, we're just going to make it simple and just store it in our in a ETS table, but we're going to come back here and fix this. Okay, so make this persistent storage. Okay, so now one thing you need to understand is we are storing it in an ETS table, but this ETS table is going to go away whenever this application is restarted, right? So we don't want that, so we're going to come back and fix this, but for now, we'll just say ETS new. We're going to create scheduled sites, okay? And we'll say this is a named table, and that's fine for us at the moment. And I'll just make sure that it created that correctly. And well, okay, so one thing is we don't want to create this ETS table every time someone adds a URL. This should already be created. Okay, so all right, so yeah, we have a lot of bad code here, so we're going to spend the next session trying to clean up this, but for now I'm just gonna do a lazy thing and put our code in our application here. Okay, and let me just copy that and change the name instead, because it has the right options. Okay, so now we've created our ETS table when it is started, and what we want to do here is we just want to add to that to that table. I'll just say insert to that table. The name of the table is scheduled sites, and so right now we're just saying we want a monthly schedule, but later we may say we also want people to create a weekly schedule. Okay, so for now I'll just say I'm going to store this URL, and I'm also going to store an atom called monthly, okay, which tells us about the schedule. Okay, so that's good, and that's it. I guess that's all we need. And let's also, since this is a test application for now, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to list all the scheduled sites on the home page so that we can actually see them and get some feedback. Okay, so this is the site URL and href. Alright, so well, we don't have anything to do here, so I'm just going to say display display the site URL. Okay, so that's good. Everything looks good. We need to restart our application here, and now if we refresh this page, and I'm going to copy that and refresh that page. Alright, so now here it says @scheduled sites is not available because we added this here in the view, but we didn't change it in the controller. So we need to go back to the page controller, and in the index we also need to say links is that, and scheduled sites is scheduler dot all, scheduler dot scheduled sites. Okay, and now we also have to add a method called function called all. Alright, so I'm just going to say scheduled sites, and at the moment I'm just going to return an empty list. Okay, and that's good. And now what we want to do here is when someone asks for what are the scheduled sites, we need to use that table and get that list, right? So we'll just say ETS table to list, and the name of the table is scheduled sites, and that should do it really. So the only change then would be this would give us a URL and a schedule. Okay, so for now we're just going to ignore the schedule because it's always going to be monthly, right? So here I'm gonna paste the URL, okay, and hit schedule site, and it says no route found. Okay, so we forgot to add the route. Let's go back, add the route, and here the change between the previous and the current is this is a post, and the link goes to the link. The path is create scheduled, and it goes to the create schedule action. Okay, so all right. Now let's refresh this, and invalid sysref token. All right, so we need to. All right, so that's another thing. So we need to fix. So we'll fix that on the next session, and I'm going to remove this plug for now. And hopefully, all right, so the next session we'll spend in cleaning up the loose ends and, you know, fixing what we forgot, and you know, and cleaning up the code. Okay, anyway, so it's complaining that, whoa, okay, so if I submit, it's complaining that assign schedule sites is not available. And why is that? It's trying to render the index template, right? So let's go back and take a look at the logs. And if you look at the logs, it made a post to create schedule, and it sent a 500. So there's something wrong in the in the create schedule. And I can actually see that now, because create schedule is rendering the index template. Okay. Now what we want here instead is we don't want to render the index template. We want to return a redirect. Okay. Because as soon as we add this to our list, we're done, right? We just can redirect the user to the home page. So we'll say redirect to the home page, right? And now that's good, right? So we have been redirected to the home page. However, it is not showing our scheduled sites here. So let me add another one, and yeah, it's not doing that. So the reason for that is we are not calling the scheduler add method here. I'm sorry, function here, right? So I keep calling functions methods, but remember, these are functions. There are no methods in Elixir. Okay, so that's because of my object-oriented past. I keep calling them methods, but these are not really methods. These are functions. So Elixir doesn't have a concept of functions, so I need to improve on that. Anyway, scheduler add the URL is going to be part of the params map, and it's going to have a key called URL, and we'll capture that using pattern matching. We'll add that, and now if we try to add, it has been added to the list, right? And if we try to duplicate things, it won't, because the type of our ETS table is by default it is a set, so it does not have unique. I'm sorry, it doesn't allow you to add duplicate keys, which is actually what we want in our case, right? We don't want users to add their site multiple times to the schedule, because we don't want to check the same time at the same time every month, right? So that's all good for us. Now we've done the front end part where we are allowing users to add their websites. Now let's go to the back end part, where it runs the scheduler every month. Okay, so all right. So now I want all right. So let's step back a little. Okay, so Elixir actually provides a nice tool called Mix. You all know that, but Mix also allows us to call it to invoke a module, a function directly from the command line. Okay, so what I mean by that is, so there is a task here called mix run, and if you read the description here, it says runs the given file or expression, right? And if we further read the description, the long description, it gives us a few examples, and it says you can do mix run minus hello world, okay? And what that's going to do is it's going to call that modules function like that, okay? So let's actually create a function here called check schedule sites, okay? And what this guy is going to do is it's going to take all the scheduled sites and it's going to use the page analyzer and it's going to enqueue all the sites, right? So here we probably want things a bit different, but let's go ahead. So here, just to test this out, I'm just going to say puts checking site and site. All right. So this also takes a URL and schedule, which I'm going to ignore for now. And so right now what we're doing is when you call this method, a function, it's going to print all the URLs, okay? And I can call this from here. Let me do a quick recompile, and I can say scheduler dot check schedule sites. And when we run this, okay, so it says there's a problem here. So we don't want enum all, there's no enum all, there's enum each, right? So let's recompile and run that. And it says checking site because we just have one URL, okay? Let me add a few more, and I'll add that, and I'll add that, right? So that's good. And now if I rerun that code, it should print 3 lines with those 3 website URLs, okay? So this is good. Now, what we want to do is we want to call this from the command line, okay? And finally, add this to our cron tab, right? So I'm gonna copy that. Actually, I think I didn't copy it. Okay, so I'm gonna type that out. So here, we can say mix run expression. And what's that expression? Scheduler dot check scheduled sites. Okay. And all right, so nothing's happening. So check scheduled sites. And let's put a few debug statements here. I'm gonna put IO puts checking all sites here, and I'll do a compile, and okay, so here if you see, it is printing checking all sites, but the problem here, okay, so now, all right, this is an interesting thing. Okay, so if you think about it, what's happening here is it is creating, well, so it's running this scheduler check schedule sites function, which in turn prints this. It calls the scheduled sites, and if this is starting as another Elixir application, then the ETS tables in that Elixir application are going to be empty, right? So, all right, so I can see the problem here, and I hope you can see too. So what's happening is we have an application A, which is the web app, which is running, right? And we have an application B, which is the console app, I'm sorry, the thing which we are triggering from the console, which is running. So what's happening is, when it starts A has its own version of the ETS table scheduled sites, and B has its own version of scheduled sites. Okay, so we cannot. So there's a bit of a problem here. So at the moment, when you start B, when you trigger the command line application to print everything, what it's going to do is it's going to load the ETS table, which is going to be empty, right? So so we cannot use the same ETS table. So there are a few ways to solve this. Okay, one is we can have some shared, store this in a shared place where P can read from too. Okay, so this could be easily solved if you had used PostgreSQL for the database. Okay, but we haven't. And another solution would be to run the code in A instead of running it in B. In a different application. Okay, so right now I don't see a way of doing that easily. So there, it is possible. Elixir, actually, it is. It should be very simple. If you think about it, because Elixir, is very distributed. It allows us to run code from one node to another, and that should be very simple. But I haven't. I don't know how to do that. So actually, let me try it out, and we'll see if it is easy. We'll just implement that. Okay. So I'm going to say self, and that's the process ID. And Elixir has node, a module called node, which tells us information about the current node. Okay, and let's look at node self. And if you look at that, it says no node, no host. Right. So one way to fix this is when we start this IES Mix Phoenix server, we can probably pass a short name. So this is going to say Broken Links Web, okay, at local, okay, actually Broken Links Web, okay, and could not invoke task run. So let me get rid of that. Max Phoenix server. So let's check mix help or IEX help, and IEX help takes a few things. It also takes an S name, which it assigns to. So let's see, IEX minus X mix minus S Mix Phoenix server, right? So that's starting up fine without any problems. And if we do Phoenix server minus, well, let me put that before this. S name is PL web. No file named PL web. Okay, so, oh, yeah, it's a double dash. Awesome. So, all right. So we have node.self. If you look at it, it says blweb at EVZ. EVZ is the host name of my computer. All right. So now I'm going to start another IEX console, and give it an S name of scheduler, right? And if you look at node.list, it is empty, and node.self is, that. And I can easily connect to plweb at EVZ by typing node connect plweb at EVZ. And now, if I look at node.list, I have that, and node.list, I have that, right? And now, so then, all right, awesome. So we've got this running, so this is awesome. So we don't have the problem, we don't have to use shared state. So all we have to do is we need to trigger, we need to run code in the left pane from the right pane. So if we look at Node should have a method, a function which allows us to spawn. If you look at spawn some code on the other node. Okay, so if I say node dot spawn on node called PL web at EVC, and let's actually do something here. So I'm going to, so since we restarted our app, it doesn't have those URLs, so I'm gonna add a few, right? So that's good. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trigger code in the left pane from the right pane, right? From in the BL web node, right? So that's the name of the node, and the name of the module is scheduler, all right? And the name of the function is check scheduled sites, and it has an empty arguments list. That's all good. Okay, so now if you see, if you look at this is really neat. See, this comes from Erlang. So anyway, all right. So what's happening is, if you look at this, it prints checking site code web server localhost 8000 in minhajshateen.com. Now, if we look at the ETS table, so I'm going to say tab table info, or there's a method called, there's a function called info, and if we look at scheduled sites, it says undefined. So there's not even a table called scheduled sites on the current node, right? But when we call the spawn function, it's actually it's actually running code in the left pane, because in the left pane we have all those sites. Okay. Now if you look at ETS info scheduled sites, you'll see there is a table and it has 3 rows. If you look at the size, it says it has 3 rows. So that's awesome. So now all we have to do is just trigger this, to run on the web node. Right? So if we go back to our nodes, shared places, shared state is one thing, and the other solution was run code in A, right? So actually trigger code in A, right? So that's all we need to do. So all right, now that we are clear of what we need to do, let's actually do it. So right, so scheduler check scheduled sites is going to do something different now. All right, so we could say we have this function, but we also have a function called trigger scheduled sites check. All right, so we have another function called trigger scheduled sites check, which is going to spawn a node with BL web at. So all of this has to be configured properly, but for now I'm just going to hard code this, and we'll say I'm going to use the module scheduler, and I'm going to call the function check scheduled sites with an empty argument list, right? So whatever code we wrote in IEX, that's what we are going to use here, and that's all we have to do. And all right, so finally now we can actually get out of this and run IEX as name scheduler, and so this is actually mix run, right? Mix run this, and the expression is scheduler dot trigger scheduled sites check, right? And unknown option that. All right, so scheduler. All right, so mix run. All right, so mix run takes those options, but okay, so you may also pass options specific to the Elixir executable as follows, right? Awesome. So it seems, it seems like everyone is helping us today. So awesome. Elixir S name scheduler, and then we'll say that's the S name minus S mix run minus E scheduler dot trigger state, right? So, and awesome. So now it says checking all sites with the listing all the 3 sites. So this is good. And finally, what we need to do here is instead of doing this, just printing stuff, we just need to call page analyzer dot enqueue and schedule sites. Okay, that's all we have to do, right? Awesome. All right, so now if I go back, right, which pane was that? Okay, so 3 or 2. All right, so here now, if you do this, it's printed this information and it's gone away, and so nothing's happening. Why is that so? Okay, so let's see. It says page analyzer dot enqueue is undefined. So that's that may be the problem. So page analyzer actually has that name. So say broken links dot page analyzer, and now, oh boy, okay. All right, so sorry for that. So now we've triggered that, and it's still, so what I'm looking for is, I'm looking for the print statements here, where it prints, that it's running stuff. So one of the, so let's actually see if that's true. So ETS dot, let's refresh this page. So let's just do localhost 8000, and it says pages with broken links 1, and if you go to the home page, it lists that, and here let me also pass another option called no halt. So what I'm assuming is happening is if you look at the print statements, even though the code is running on the web node, it's printing all the output in the right pane, right? Because the output is redirected properly to the calling node. Okay. Now page analyzer dot enqueue does this, right? It says it checks if it is a. So let's see. One of the issues. All right. So let's look at the options in spawn. So I don't want to spawn with output redirected. Let's see if that is an option. Airline for the full list of available options. Check this. Okay. Right, so we can check that documentation, and yeah, opt for or optify. All right, come on. So it takes node module function arguments and options, right? And options is a list of spawn opt options, and spawn opt options is link, monitor, priority. It doesn't seem like there is a way to redirect output. So, or we may be missing something for sure. So anyway, let's go back and see if we can fix this. So node spawn, and so okay, so what's happening here is this is running on the triggering node, and this is running in the web node, okay, and it's printing this. It's looping through all the scheduled sites, and it's printing that, and it's then enqueuing things. And there is a debug log here and a debug log here, and it's inserting it into the URLs collection, and then it's spawning some more. Okay, so all of this should be running in node A. I'm sorry, node the triggering node. I'm sorry, the web node. So all right, so let's see. Let me stop this, and so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to print something here to say enqueuing URL, and done enqueuing URL. Okay, and we'll recompile this code. Recompile, and we'll run this. Alright, so now it says on node with cannot convert given list to a string. Alright, so so this alright, so I'm not sure what's happening, so I'm just gonna put an inspect here and an inspect here, and we'll check this once again. So we'll recompile undefined function okay, inspect, let me get the correct spelling, inspect, right, and inspect, right. So recompile and rerun this, and it says on node, the web node, it exited, it says cannot convert the given list to a string, and all right, I see what's going on. So if you look at this error, it says it is getting a list of key value pairs, right, a keyword list, but it's expecting a list of URLs. So that's bad. All right, so it is, so where is our scheduler? It's here, and why? Okay, oh man, this is very bad. So, and right, so we should have enqueued the URL and not the scheduled sites. That's a silly mistake. All right. So now that we fixed that, it should hopefully run fine. So I'm gonna remove the no halt, and it's done. And if we look at this, okay, so let's actually in our previous run we screwed up the state, and let me add this and a few others here, and we're going to call it from here, see, no halt. Okay, so now it's actually running the output here. Okay, so so it looks like it is actually doing everything. Okay, so I'm going to stop it here, but you see now all we have to do is copy this whole line and put it in the cron tab, and that's going to do everything properly. And one final thing which we need to do is we need a way to know that the scheduled sites run has been executed. So at the end we need to get out of this, stop this application. Okay, so we're actually over time for our current session, so we'll look at that and clean up the other remaining stuff in the next session. All right, so that's it, guys. You guys have a great day. Awesome.